Do you ever feel like you just get started with a patient and after they make a little bit of progress, they kind of drift off, never to be heard from again? Or, they're out of pain, their stress is better, their digestion's better, and they think they're just fine. Or maybe you find yourself doing the same thing with the same kind of patients over and over and over, kind of walking them through the same process only to get the same outcome every single time. What if there was a way that you could get better results for the patient, save yourself a whole bunch of time, and make a little extra moolah? How would that sound? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today on the podcast. I'm going to walk you through my 7-step framework for designing an amazing patient program that will get their compliance way up, improves their outcome, and it adds more time and revenue back to your life. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Clinical Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm Rhonda, your no-fluff, tell it like it is business bestie for wellness practitioners like you who want to build a practice you love and make a bigger impact and make a little money while you're at it. So if you're ready to ditch the overwhelm, attract your dream patients, and finally run your practice with confidence, you are absolutely in the right place. Each week, we're tackling things from programs to patient retention to marketing strategies that actually work, sprinkled with a little sass, a lot of heart, and the step-by-step strategies that will help you grow. So grab your cup of coffee, your notebook, or whatever keeps you going, and let's build a practice and a life that you've always wanted together. I'm so glad you're here today. We are going to talk about a topic that is super near and dear to my heart. I actually really love this topic because it has the potential to really transform your life, your practice, your revenue, your retirement, all the things. And that is how to create amazing patient programs. In fact, the perfect patient program. And we're going to talk about it through the lens of a 7-step process. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. This 7-step process, it's going to take you some time, but nothing worth doing was ever easy, right? So we can take this one step at a time. I'm going to break it down for you as we go through the episode today, and you'll feel more confident when you're done. At least you'll have a good roadmap and you'll know what you need to do and where you need to start. So when you have this kind of an outcome-based program, which we'll talk about, when you have this type of program, it makes it a win for everyone. The patients know exactly what to expect. You know what you're delivering, and the outcome is pretty much a given. So I'm going to teach you how to do just that. So when you think about an outcome-based program, let me phrase it to you this way. I always like to give you practical examples when we're talking about this, because if I don't put it in context or give you the ideas or the framework around what we're talking about, it's not going to make any sense. So let's imagine that you have someone and your ideal patient, or the people that you see a lot of, everyone is bloated. I think that's a common problem that many, many people face. So for this episode, we're going to use bloating as our example. So let's just say that you decide that that you start with upper digestion. And if you've been hanging around with me for any amount of time, in Clinical Academy, which is the clinical side of where I teach the clinical skills, like they call it the street smarts of like running your clinical business, the clinical side. But in Clinical Academy, you all know that I always say, start with upper digestion. You cannot move the ball with the patient unless you start with upper digestion, period. They can't be bloated. You've got to make sure that the proteins are breaking down well, that bile is working and the gallbladder is working, and we're getting enzymes from the pancreas. All the food has to be broken down well before we can even change their diet. So upper digestion is a big deal. And very often, not always, but very often, part of that bloating can be upper bloating, which means that we have a dysfunction in the stomach duodenum, right? Stomach, gallbladder, pancreas, somewhere in there. So let's just say that you know that most of your patients, let's say 85 to 90% of them, have some upper digestive issue that you deal with. So every single time you say to them, okay, Mary, Listen, we are going to start by working on your upper digestion. I'm going to give you a little something for stress because maybe that's the other problem, or sugar cravings or whatever it is. But you know that digestive piece is just a solid, it's like an anchor, a weight, a ball and chain. You have to get that fixed. So you say, all right, we're going to get your digestion fixed. And you know that what the symptoms are. You have it all lined out. You could do this with your eyes closed, right? So the outcome is what? Her problem is that she's bloated. You know that upper digestion isn't working. Maybe she gets bloated and uncomfortable after she drinks water, or maybe she has pain when she eats, or maybe she just doesn't handle fat well. And when she eats fat, she really feels awful. Maybe she wakes up, she has pain between her shoulder blades, a gallbladder sign, or she wakes up nauseous in the morning. All of those things are all digestive symptoms, right? Signs that there's a problem. So you already know how to do this. You could do it in your sleep. So the problem is something's not right with the upper digestion. The outcome is you're going to fix it. That's what you're going to do. You're going to make easy digestion. So we'll pick bloating and say, no more bloating in 6 weeks. 6 weeks to a non-bloated stomach, however you want to word that. That's your outcome. So it's time-based. So we're going to talk about creating a program that's time-based. So we have 6 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever you think you can solve the problem in. So we're going to do a time-based outcome. And then we're very specific about the end result. Now, this doesn't mean that you're promising. It doesn't mean anything. I can hear you guys. You were like, well, what if it doesn't work? Well, okay, then you just tell them, listen, we need a couple more weeks to work on this. Most of the time we can get it in 6 weeks, but I think we need a couple more weeks. It's okay. It's fine. You do not have to own a crystal ball. In fact, you don't. So just set a time. And for those of you that muscle test, look, I get it. And I appreciate that you muscle test, but could you just roll with me here? Just put them in a program. Just make a 6-week outcome-based program. Choose your symptom, and then we're going to say, here's the time frame. Here's the problem that we're going to solve. And when you're done, here's the outcome that you're going to have. So from the patient's perspective, think about it like this. Mary, she comes into you and she just doesn't feel good. She's stressed out all the time. She's got a grandchild living with her, and she's like in her mid-50s because she has a child that is, living on the streets. And so she had to take over a grandchild. So now she's raising a grandchild. She's stressed out. She doesn't eat well. Her digestion's a mess. She's constipated. And, she's probably on a statin drug. She's probably on a PPI. The typical kind of patient that we often see, right? All right, so where are you going to start with her? Well, in my opinion, you should be starting with upper digestion. So from her perspective, she just would say to you, I don't feel good. She's going to say things like, I'm not sleeping well. I'm constipated. My stress is really high. And I have stomach pain. I'm bloated all the time. But you and I know we don't have to fix all of that at one time. In fact, we can't really, but we want to do it a little bit at a time. So we're going to start with upper digestion. We're going to say, listen, Mary, I get it. I'm going to give you something to help just calm you down a little bit with some stress, maybe some Gaia stress support or whatever. And we're going to start with your diet, and you're going to get digestion, because if we don't get that digestion fixed, we're not going to make very good progress with the rest of the things. So we're going to have to do this one bit at a time, one step at a time. We can't rebuild Rome in a day. One bit at a time, we're going to start with your digestion. So Mary's feeling overwhelmed. She's caring for a child. She's older than she needs to be or wants to be caring for a 4-year-old. And she just needs you to make her better. Now you could say, okay, Mary, this is 2 options. You could say, all right, come in next week and I'll, give you an adjustment and we'll give you some supplements. Okay, fine. She comes back in. She's not better. She's not feeling better because you maybe gave her some diet things and she's too busy and too tired and she can't get it all pulled together because of her lifestyle. And she stays for 2 or 3 weeks and then she just goes away because she doesn't have a target. She doesn't have a goal. She doesn't have an end point to be able to look at and say, okay, we're doing A, B, C, D, E. And when we're done, this is what we're going to get. She's much more likely to hang with you if you can put her in some kind of a structure. This is why the 3-week or 21-day purification that I've always used from Standard Process and will continue to use because I love it so much. This is why it works, because they know 3 weeks. When I start, I'm going to feel like this. And when I'm done, this is the outcome. My liver is going to be better. My skin is going to be clear. I'm going to be pooping better, whatever. So from the patient's perspective, all they want is for someone to tell them, do this and you'll feel this. Because they're overwhelmed. They don't know where to start. They get on Dr. Google or not. In Mary's case, she's just too tired and overwhelmed. So it gives them a very clear plan of action. That way, when she comes in, you say, I know exactly what to do. I know exactly what we're going to do with you. Here's where we're going to start. 6 weeks. This is what you're going to have. This is what we're going to have. And then this is how you're going to feel. And then we're going to go on and do the next step. She is going to feel so loved and cared for and heard and listened to, et cetera, because now there's a plan. So now you've got the context. For you, you don't have to keep saying all the same things over and over again. You don't have to go chasing the patients that skip out because they didn't get the results that they wanted right away. And you're going to be able to create something that doesn't require as much of your time, like that one-on-one time, but yet you're actually going to make more money when you do it this way, because I don't want to say guaranteeing an outcome, but you're ensuring that they get really close, if they don't get all the way, to that outcome that they want, which in Mary's case, she just wants to eat and not feel bloated. So let's talk about the 7-step framework that I have created that helps you put this kind of program together, okay? It's pretty high level. We don't have time to go into it in great detail. Lots more training on this inside Clinical Business Academy, but I want to give you this to get you started. Okay, ready? Here we go. Number 1, we've already kind of talked about this, but the first thing you want to do is you want to identify a common pain point. What is the pain point or the symptom or the problem that your patient needs to have solved? Might be fatigue, maybe anxiety, maybe it's sleep, maybe it's stress, maybe it's joint pain. I don't know. For the population of people that you see, what is the common pain point that you know that you can solve? And I will say the more specific you can be, the better. So for Mary, let's think about her. If you said, I'll help your digestion feel better, who's going to say yes to that? No one. But if you said that you have a gut reset program that banishes bloating and helps you feel better faster, not a great title, but you get my point. I'm more specific. I am resetting your gut and getting rid of the bloating. Which one's going to sound better to the patient? Of course, number 2, because you're more specific. So we want to be very specific about the problem that we solve. That's step 1. You have to identify the common pain point. Step 2, we want to define the outcome. What are they going to expect? What can they expect when they've completed the program? And it's very important that you write this out. So you're not only going to say what the problem is, you're going to write out the outcome, because they need to know your bloating will be significantly less. You will have less pain when you eat. You will not feel as full as you always do. And you list out the things. What are they going to feel at the end? Because if you're going to make me pay for something and I don't know what I'm going to get at the end, why would I pay for that? That's dumb. Why would I go buy something if I don't know what problem it's going to solve? So we want to let Mary know what is the outcome. That's number 2. Number 3, you want to create your framework. Okay. The simplest way I can say this is, what is the step-by-step process that you're going to do that? So if we're going to talk about digestion and bloating, this is what I would do. I would say, first, we're going to start by making sure that your stomach has enough hydrochloric acid. So I would give them resources or some kind of training to explain how upper digestion works. And patients love this. If you can draw this out on a whiteboard, or you can explain it in a way that just simplifies it, what the pH of the stomach needs to be. And then when that pH food gets in it, we keep bathing it in acid that helps to break it down, that hydrochloric acid. And then it moves out through this little valve called the pyloric valve, and it goes into the duodenum. And that's where it gets bathed with enzymes, and bile gets in there, and bicarb they love the whole thing. They love it. And so you're going to explain that whole thing. That would be week 1, or module 1 or section 1. You're going to educate them, and then you're going to give them some supplements that you know will work. Okay, almost everyone can handle upper digestive support. You may have to tweak it a little bit by patient, but in general, if you're going to solve a bloating or an upper digestive problem, you know pretty much what you're going to give someone, right? Okay, so that part could be a little bit variable, and that's fine. It should be. So that's maybe the first step. So you're going to maybe give Mary 2 weeks to use these couple of supplements, whether you're using something like Zypan or Digest Forte or apple cider vinegar or other kind of bitters or whatever it is that floats your boat. So that's the first thing. And then maybe the next 2 weeks, you might be working a little bit more on the gallbladder. Maybe you're going to go downstream a little bit more, and you're going to have her start working more with maybe some enzymes with her food, or having her keep a food log during the first 2 weeks or the second 2 weeks. But do you get my point? So the first 2 weeks of our 6-week program, Mary's going to do this. This is the educational information you're going to give her. And this is the outcome that she can have, which I'm going to talk about that in a second. That's the first 2 weeks. Second 2 weeks, here's what we're going to focus on. And then the next 2 weeks, here's what we're going to focus on. I have some doctors in CBA that do their programs every single week. They do something and they just deliver it via email. It doesn't have to be hard. They just send an email out every week and say, okay, here it is this week. Here's are the resources that you're going to need. Here's a link to the video where I'm going to talk to you about what's happening in your body this week. And here is the outcome that you can expect this week. And they'll do it that way. It's super simple. It's not hard. So step 3 of the 7-step framework is you're going to create the framework itself, or the structure of what this program looks like. Okay, quick interrupt here. I just want to remind you that even if creating that kind of structured program that we're talking about sounds super overwhelming, don't worry. I've got you covered. To make this even easier, I've created 2 free resources. These are brand new that will help you put into action what you're learning today, what we're talking about in this episode, and it's part of our 12-month business growth plan series. So these resources are going to provide not only the framework, but I'm also going to help you see, I'm going to give you a little cheat sheet that's going to show you how to add value to your program so that patients get better results, they move quicker, they're happier, you're happier. I'm going to show you how to do all of that. So all you have to do, you can do it right now if you want to. Don't leave the episode though. Go to rondanelson.com/12-month growth plan. That's the number 12. Click on month 3 and then grab these free resources. They are yours, no strings attached at all. Go grab them, download them, and that will help you design your perfect patient program. All right, let's get back to the episode. Then step 4 is we want to let the patient know when they've achieved their goal. And I like to call these milestones. So we're going to add milestones. Now, milestones are like mile markers on a freeway. If I'm going on a long trip and it's 30 miles to my destination, I'm super happy when I see that mile marker sign or the, how many miles to whatever city, and it's getting less. I know I'm getting closer and closer and closer. Finally, it says 10 miles, 8 miles, 2 miles. Oh, I'm almost there. So we want to add those milestones. What are the things that Mary is going to experience during the first 2 weeks, and then the second 2 weeks, and then the third 2 weeks, or every week, however you want to set it up? What are the things that she might say, oh, I know I'm making progress when I feel like blank. By week 3, I'm going to have less bloating. Or by week 3, I'm going to be able to eat an avocado and I won't bloat. Or I'm going to have less heartburn, whatever it is. Those are the milestones. Mary goes, yes, it's working. I'm making progress. She's way more likely to stay involved and connected with you in the process when you can give her something tangible that she can grab onto and go, I know I'm making progress when this happens. So those are called milestones. And I like to kind of attach milestones, not like just at the end, but throughout, so that Mary feels like she's sure she's making progress, that all what she's doing is actually working. Step 5, now we have the framework, we have the milestones. Now we're going to create the components. So this is that video training. And it might be like, how many visits are you going to have with her? Maybe it's one a month. Maybe it's once at the beginning, once at the 3-week mark, and then once at the end. You are going to decide what are the components that you're going to give. Are there any supplements that you want to include? You can give a supplement allowance to her in her package or her program that she's going to go through for bloating or upper digestion. You can include supplements. I actually recommend doing that because otherwise they go online and they want to go buy them somewhere else. So why not include them? So you include the supplements. There might be, how many visits. You're going to include them at the full retail price. If you want to do any lab testing, you might include that lab testing. This is what I call the core components. Okay. If we stripped everything else away, these are the core components that Mary can be 100% sure, and you know that this is exactly what we're going to do. So that's step 5. Step 6, we're going to start creating what I call value-added resources. And this is one of your free resources. It's value-added resource. It's a list of a whole bunch of things you can consider. This makes it easier and more convenient and helps the patient, Mary, make faster progress. So let's say that she's bloated, and in the first 2 weeks, you kind of want her to stay away from maybe fatty foods, more fatty foods, because you know it's her gallbladder, but you haven't fixed the gallbladder all the way yet, but you want her to get a win. So maybe you give her a recipes or a food list of foods to eat, foods not to eat during the first 2 weeks. So that's going to save her time. It's going to make her feel much more confident in the process because you come across looking like the authority, right? You're saying, this is what I want you to eat. Here's the foods that I want you to stay away from just for the first 2 weeks. Now, this can be a PDF. It can be a checklist. It could be however you want to add it. It doesn't matter the format. Just make the format appropriate. I have lots of doctors who will do it via video. And then they have like a PDF that goes with the video, and that's okay. But you want to provide the resources that she's going to need that help her make faster progress or save time, save money, or solve a problem. So recipes are definitely going to help her feel better faster. And they're also going to save her some time because she doesn't know what to eat. That's your job, right? That's my job. We have to tell them, these are the foods you want to eat. These are the foods you want to stay away from. So in your resources, you have a value-added resource library. It's basically a list of all kinds of things that you can get, and you'll find that at the rondanelson.com/12-month growth plan. So rondanelson.com/12-month growth plan. This is in month 3. So you'll find it under month 3. So now you're going to figure out the resources that you want to add. The more resources you can add, the better, because people love all that stuff. They do. They love all the little bells and whistles and extras. And, you could even add in a pill box, or you could add in a water bottle, or you can add in a dry lymph brush or a castor oil pack because Mary is constipated and you want to add that in and have her do that over her abdomen. Things that are going to get her faster results, right? Make her feel better and help her cross the finish line really successfully. So that's step 6, is creating those value-added resources. Step 7, hang with me. This is the last one. Now we're going to calculate the price. And I don't want you to sell yourself short here. The price needs to be equivalent to the transformation that you're providing. So that means that you're going to determine what I call the hard costs and the soft costs. So your hard costs are things like lab tests. Hard costs are supplements. Hard cost would be that castor oil pack. A hard cost might be a water bottle that you're going to give her, or a pill box. Let's see, you're going to add all those up. Those are your hard costs. Then you have what I call soft costs. The soft costs are your time and the value of those resources, right? Those are the soft costs. They don't really cost you anything directly, but they have a tremendous value to her. Now, yes, your time is worth something, and you do need to factor that in at the appropriate dollar amount, whatever you're paying, like per hour, per visit, that kind of thing. You need to factor that in. But when you calculate out the price, you have to remember that those value-added resources, they're worth something. So let's say that you create a weekly menu plan and the corresponding recipes that go with it. How much time does that save her? A lot of time. That is worth something to her. So you might say that that is worth $200 or $100 or $250, but you want to put a value on it. Once you create it once, it's done. You've got it. But you want to put a value on that because that's worth something to her. Could she go buy that somewhere? Yeah, sure. Well, she's getting it from you for free as part of her package, but it definitely has a value. So there's lots of things that you can add that you can tie a dollar value to that are what I call soft costs. And that means that it's your labor, but there's no hard cost like you would have with a supplement. So you want to determine your soft costs and your hard costs, and then you're going to calculate the price. So don't fall off your chair. We're almost done. When you add up all your hard costs, and then you put a value on all your soft costs, a value on your time, a value on the resources, a value on if you're going to give them like special texting access to you that might have a value, etc. You add all of that up. Let's say that you decide that you're doing a 6-week program and your 6-week program comes up to have a value of, let's just say $13.50. Okay, just for fun. We're just going to say $13.50. But you're not going to price it at $13.50. You're going to price it at maybe it's $9.95 or $8.95. It's $13.50, but the price is $9.97 or something like that. You want to make sure that you are still making money at $9.97. We are not giving it away here, but the perception of the patient is, wow, like that $1,300 and it's only $900. Hey, this is a great deal because you've promised her an outcome. In the end of 6 weeks, your bloating will be gone. At the end of 6 weeks, you're going to feel so much better when you eat food. That heartburn is going to be, if it's not gone, it's going to be greatly reduced. That is worth it for her because has she been able to solve that problem up till now? No, but you've just given her a framework, a program, a set of circumstances that allows her to say, I'm going to start here and I'm going to end there. And here's how I'll know I'm making progress along the way. And here are all these added resources that are going to help me get there even faster. Who says no to that? Nobody. They all want the help. They just don't know where to go. But when you can create it in a structured format like that, the patients are much more trusting. They believe that what you're offering has a tremendous amount of value. You've put it together in such a way that you're not guaranteeing the outcome, but you're saying, look, I've done this for a long time. And I know that when there's upper bloating like this, let's say it's gallbladder, it's so easy to fix. Probably could do it in 4 weeks. So easy. But you know that. So you can say, hey, confidently, I got this. This is not a problem. So once you calculate that price, the last thing there is for you to do is just communicate it. You're just going to say to Mary when she comes in, remember, this is a common problem that most of your patients are dealing with. Mary comes in and you already know, you've looked at her paperwork, you already know that she is going to have, it. And she maybe didn't even tell you, but you're like, oh yeah, she's had lots of stress for a long period of time. I know that stomach is not going to be digesting well. We got some digestive work to do for sure. And you already know before she comes in, you say, Mary, listen, I know I've got some other things to work on, but before we can do all of those things, we really need to focus on your digestion. And here's why that's important. Then you talk to her about why that's important. And you say, to make this easy for you, instead of you coming in and coming in and coming in, I put all of this information together. It's a 6-week digestive reset program. It will get you much faster results. I've included all the supplements that you need. There's so many resources that are going to help you, and I am here for you every step of the way. We're going to connect every 2 weeks to make sure that you're okay. And this works in person or virtual, by the way. We're going to connect every few weeks, and you are going to be so happy with your outcome. This is going to be the first step of what we're going to do. Now, Mary says, oh my gosh, her next question is what? How much is it? And then you're going to tell her the value is all of the things added up. It's normally $1,350 or $1,400, whatever. But I have it priced because I want to make sure that you get good results. It includes all of your supplements. It includes the lab tests. It includes and it's $995 for 6 weeks, and you're going to have it done. And then listen, she has the right to say yes or no. If she says no, it's not that she's saying no to you. She's just saying that she doesn't want to buy your car. She's not interested in a Mercedes. She still wants a Kia or something. I don't know. She wants like a bicycle. She doesn't want it. And that's okay. She could say no. But if you work with her one-on-one, what are the chances that she's going to stick with you for 6 weeks? I think if you were honest, you might say, most of you listening would probably say, yeah, she'll get a little bit better. This is what happens. They get a little bit better, and then life kind of takes over, and then something happens and they have to go out of town, and then I got sick, and then Then they forget about it and they never come back. And then they say, well, yeah, I tried that alternative functional medicine thing and it didn't work. And we know that's not true. It's that they didn't have a structure within which to improve. That's all. So what we're doing is we're just helping them with the framework and the structure. So now be sure that you get those resources for this month. This is month 3 of our 12-month growth plan journey, business growth plan. So what I want you to do is don't forget rondanelson.com/12-month growth plan, the number 12, and look at month 3. That's the month we're in. Month 3, and you're going to be able to download these 2 resources, the overview of the 7 steps and also a value added resource that will give you a list of all kinds of things that you can add to your program or package. So there you go. I told you in the beginning, this is not hard. It just takes some time, but that's why I've created it in the step by step by step. So to recap, remember, number 1, you have to find the common pain point. What is a pain point? Identify that pain point. Number 2, step 2, describe the outcome. So you have to write down what are they going to get at the end? How are they going to feel? We want to focus on the feelings. Step 3, you're going to build out and create your framework. How are you going to solve that problem? Step 4, you want to add the milestones that the patient can look for that helps them know that they're making progress. And then step 5, you're going to create your core components. What are the non-negotiable things in there? The supplements, the tests, any kind of your time, all that, the core things that are absolutely going to be in there. So those are hard costs and soft costs. Hard costs are actual things you have to pay someone for, like a cup, or a pill counter, or a supplement, or whatever. Maybe you have a health coach and you have to pay the health coach. That has to factor in there. And then next, you've decided your core components. That's step 5. Step 6 is to create those value-added resources. And once you have that, step 7 is to create your price. And you look at hard costs versus soft costs. So it's kind of it's kind of a deal. You kind of have to build it out. I didn't lie to you, friend. I said this takes a hot minute. But it is so worth it because the patients get such better results. You know that they're not going to bag out. You're going to make more money. You're going to have more time because you're not spending it one-on-one, saying the same thing over and over and over and over. You're saving time. And then by the time they get through the program, they're going to be so happy because the outcome that you promised, because you know you can deliver, will be there. And then they're way more likely to work with you in the future. So here's to building an amazingly perfect patient program using this 7-step framework that will help you create that thing that's going to leverage your time, make more money, and get an amazing outcome for your patients. Well, listen, creating these kinds of patient programs that have a little bit more structure to them isn't about making your practice run smoother, although it does do that, but it really helps you be able to change the patients' lives so much faster and so much more effectively. And then you get the added benefit of being able to extract yourself out of the process a little bit makes it easier for them. Your revenue goes up, you get your time back. It's a win-win-win for everyone. Because when you have a clear outcome, you know what the problem is that you're solving. That plan, you're able to communicate it really effectively to your patients, and they know exactly what the outcome is. So whatever you do, don't let this be one of those really good ideas that I should tackle someday. Don't let that happen. This is not that hard to do. So take action, make a little simple step forward. And if you need help, please always reach out to me. I am just an email away. But if you want more training, you want to go a little deeper, you're ready to dive in and change the way that your practice works, you're tired of trying to figure it out on your own, I've got you. This is why Clinical Business Academy exists. So you can go to rondanelson.com/CBA and let's chat. You and I will hop on a 30-minute phone call, and together we'll decide if Clinical Business Academy is a good fit for where you're at in your practice. It would make me so happy to be able to help you finally have the practice that you always wanted. So thanks for joining me this week. Much love to you, and I'll be back with you on the podcast next week. Take care.